Hey guys, welcome to today's edition of the Cipher Files, where we pull back the curtain on mysteries that have baffled the brightest minds. Today, we're stepping back in time to one of the most enduring and unsettling enigmas of the 20th century, a case so strange, it feels less like a police file and more like something lifted from the pages of a spy novel or a deeply buried secret. If you want me to do more of these, like the video and subscribe, it's more useful than you think, helping these stories reach more curious minds. And tell me, where are you watching from? What are your initial thoughts on the idea of a modern, seemingly unsolvable mystery? Drop a comment below. Now, let's dive in and see how it all goes. We're heading to Adelaide, South Australia, specifically to Somerton Beach, a coastal suburb known for its calm waters and peaceful atmosphere. It's December 1st, 1948, and the world is still grappling with the aftermath of a global war, but this quiet stretch of sand is about to become the epicenter of a mystery that will resonate for decades. The Tamam Shud case, or as it's more commonly known, the Somerton Man mystery, starts here, on this unassuming beach. It's famous globally precisely because of its unsettling nature and that stubborn connection to events and items that simply refuse to be explained. Picture the scene: early in the morning, dawn is breaking over the coast. The air is cool, salty. A couple out for a stroll notices a man lying on the sand, propped against the seawall. His head is resting on the wall, legs extended towards the sea. He looks like he's sleeping, maybe just a little too deeply after a long night. They think nothing of it initially, maybe he's just had a bit too much to drink. But later that morning, around 7 a.m., a different couple passes by and realizes he hasn't moved. They try to rouse him, but he's unresponsive. It becomes clear very quickly that this isn't a drunken nap, the man is dead. The local police are called. This is when the initial layers of strangeness begin to peel away. The figures arriving on the scene include Sergeant Lionel Lean from the South Australian Police and eventually other officers and medical personnel. The sequence of events is straightforward at first: assess the situation, secure the scene, arrange for the body's removal. But the initial examination right there on the beach starts to flag details that just don't fit. The man is well dressed, wearing a suit and tie, but without a hat, which was unusual at the time, and no wallet. His pockets reveal seemingly ordinary items: an unused train ticket from Adelaide to Henley Beach, a nearby suburb, but odd given his location, a bus ticket, chewing gum, Craven, cigarettes, a popular brand, but a packet containing a different brand, Kensitas, matches, and a small comb. These are standard things, right? Except for the Kensitas packet containing Craven, cigarettes, a tiny, almost insignificant detail, yet it hints at something slightly off, a deliberate misdirection perhaps. As the body is removed and taken for a more thorough examination, the strange details multiply, establishing the foundation of a truly baffling mystery. There are no identification papers on him. No wallet. No money. His teeth show no dental work, making identification via dental records impossible. Even stranger, the labels on his clothing have been meticulously removed. Not just cut, but the threads seem carefully unpicked. This is not the action of someone preparing for a casual beach visit or even someone planning to end their life, it's the action of someone deliberately trying to erase their identity. Who was this man, and why did he go to such lengths to become a ghost before his death? These immediate, peculiar discoveries on December 1st, 1948, set the stage for a mystery that would deepen with every subsequent twist and turn. He lies there on the sand, peaceful, almost serene, as the police and medical examiners gather around. The first order of business, once the initial shock subsides, is meticulously documenting everything they see. You're looking at a man of medium build, estimated to be in his mid-40s. He's tall, perhaps around 5 feet 11 inches, with fair hair that shows traces of gray near the temples. He's cleanly shaven, and his face has a certain handsomeness, though it's hard to be sure given the circumstances. There are no identifying marks, scars, or tattoos that anyone can immediately spot. Who is this person? That's the question hanging in the air. Now, let's talk about his attire. This is where things start to get a bit odd. He's dressed impeccably, in a suit, but it doesn't quite add up. He's wearing a light brown knitted pullover, a white shirt, and a brown pair of trousers. Over this, he has a double-breasted coat. His feet are clad in socks and shoes. It sounds normal enough, right? But here's the kicker, every single piece of clothing has its identifying labels or tags cut away. Not just one or two, but all of them. The laundry marks on his underwear. Removed. The maker's tag in his coat. Gone. It's a deliberate act of erasure, making it impossible to trace where these items were bought or cleaned. Why would someone do that? It's as if he was trying to become invisible before, whatever happened. The pockets of his clothing yield very little. When investigators go through them, they find mundane items, a train ticket from Adelaide to Henley Beach, which wasn't used. A bus ticket, also unused, indicating he might have taken a bus to his final destination instead. There's a comb, a packet of Craven cigarettes, but oddly, among them is a packet of Kensida cigarettes, a different brand, containing only 7 cigarettes. There's also a box of Bryant and May matches. That's it. No wallet, no cash, no identification whatsoever. No keys, no handkerchief, nothing personal that could give a clue to his name or where he came from. It's a collection of random, anonymous objects. The initial forensic examination is just as perplexing. The police pathologist, Dr. Dwyer, finds no obvious cause of death. There are no signs of violence, no injuries. It looks like he died peacefully in his sleep. However, internally, there are unusual findings. His organs are healthy, but there's significant congestion, particularly in his spleen and liver. His stomach contains traces of a pasty meal. Dr. Dwyer initially suspects poisoning, perhaps by a drug like digitalis or strepanthan, which can be difficult to detect and cause cardiac arrest without outward signs. But toxicology reports later come back negative for common poisons. Adding to the mystery, there's an unusual pooling of blood, particularly on the front of his body, not what you'd expect from someone lying on their back. The estimated time of death is around 2 a.m. on December 1st. A perfectly healthy man, found dead with no apparent cause, stripped of identity, on a deserted beach. Weeks later, on January 14, 1949, another crucial piece of evidence surfaces. Staff at the Adelaide railway station cloakroom report finding an unclaimed brown suitcase that was deposited there the day before the man was found on the beach, at 11 a.m. on November 30. It's believed to belong to the unknown man. When police open it, they find more clothing, a dressing gown, red slippers, 4 pairs of underwear, pajamas, toiletries, and some brushes. Again, all the tags are removed. There's also a tie, a coat hanger, and a unique item, a tailor's bobbin of orange thread, one not available for commercial sale, only used by a specific textile company. This bobbin might link the case to someone in the textile industry, or perhaps just someone who happened to have industrial thread. But still, no name, no identity documents, no clues about his profession or origin within the suitcase itself. The most bizarre and pivotal clue comes later. During a more thorough examination of the unknown man's trousers, detectives discover a small, tightly rolled-up piece of paper hidden in a secret fob pocket, sewn into the waistline. On this slip of paper are 2 words printed, Tamam Shud. This translates from Persian as ended or finished. Initial inquiries fail to identify the source of these words. It seems completely out of place, a hidden message with an unknown meaning. Then, a breakthrough arrives in July 1949. A local man, responding to news reports about the mysterious slip, comes forward. He had found a copy of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, by Edward Fitzgerald in his unlocked car parked near the Somerton Park beach around the same time the body was discovered. He had thought little of it until he heard about the case. When he checks the book, he finds that the last page, containing the words, Tamam Shud, has been torn out, a perfect match for the slip found sewn in the man's pocket. Inside this book, scribbled faintly on the back cover, are what appear to be 5 lines of cryptic letters, a coded message. Below the code are some letters that look like an encrypted phone number. This is a potential cipher, possibly a communication meant for someone. The discovery of this book, seemingly connected to the man's death via the torn slip, adds a layer of international intrigue and espionage possibilities to the case. As we look at all this evidence collected, you can see both strengths and weaknesses in the investigation. The police meticulously documented the physical state of the body and its immediate surroundings. The forensic details, while puzzling, were recorded. The discovery of the suitcase, the slip, and the book with the code show persistence. However, there are undeniable gaps. The initial search of the body and clothing might have missed the slip initially, it was found later. Witness accounts around the beach that night were vague or contradictory regarding seeing anyone matching his description or observing anything unusual. The negative toxicology results left the cause of death officially undetermined, relying heavily on the initial pathologist's suspicion of undetected poisoning, a hypothesis that remained unproven. And the lack of any identification despite extensive efforts, including fingerprint checks across multiple countries, highlights the man's successful, perhaps deliberate, anonymity. The evidence provides fragments of a story, a man trying to disappear, a possible coded message, a mysterious death, but contradictions and missing pieces prevent a clear picture from forming. Alright, we've laid out the pieces of this complex puzzle. Now, let's move from the tangible evidence, the things found and observed, to the intangible, the why. We're stepping into the realm of theories, trying to make sense of what happened to the Somerton Man. So, what are the main hypotheses detectives and enthusiasts have batted around for decades? They range wildly, from the tragically simple to the deeply complex. First, let's consider the possibility of suicide. It's a grim thought, but it must be explored. Could he have poisoned himself? We know the initial autopsy found no trace of conventional poisons. However, the doctor noted congestion consistent with poisoning, suggesting an undetectable substance might have been used. If it was self-administered, where did he do it? Why end up on Somerton Beach? The seemingly calm posture of the body, lying on the sand, might appear consistent with someone who simply lay down to die, perhaps after ingesting something. But then you hit contradictions. Why tailor your clothes so meticulously? Why carry an unused train ticket, an unspent bus fare? These aren't typical behaviors for someone about to end it all. And the absence of any personal identification, isn't that strange for a suicide? What about accidental death? Perhaps he became ill on the beach? Overheated? But there were no signs of struggle, no medical emergency evident. The lack of any injury whatsoever makes accidental death from environmental causes or a fall highly improbable. It just doesn't align with the evidence we've uncovered. Then there's conventional murder. This could tie back to the poisoning idea. Someone administered an undetectable poison. This would explain the cause of death aligning with poisoning symptoms, while overcoming the lack of typical forensic evidence. But who would do this? Why? Again, the lack of identification, the removal of labels, these point away from a random attack or a crime of passion, which often leave more chaotic scenes. Could it be a murder designed to look like a suicide? It's possible, especially if a subtle poison was used. Consider mistaken identity. Could this man have been targeted, killed, and left there, perhaps intended to be someone else entirely? It's difficult to make the evidence fit cleanly here. Why remove all identification if you've killed the wrong person? Why tailor his clothes? While possible, it doesn't feel like a strong fit for the specific details of the case. This leads us to perhaps the most compelling, and certainly the most discussed, theory: espionage or intelligence-related activity. This hypothesis suggests the Somerton Man wasn't just an ordinary person, but someone involved in a clandestine world, perhaps a spy or a courier. Let's look at how the evidence aligns with this idea. Remember the Tamam Shud slip found in his pocket? And the subsequent discovery of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam book where it came from, found in a car parked nearby? And inside that book, the handwritten code? This is the heart of the espionage theory. Codes, cryptic messages, these are hallmarks of intelligence work. The slip itself, meaning, finished, or ended, could be a dead man's switch, a final message, or part of a larger protocol. The code itself, a sequence of seemingly random letters with strike-throughs, looks like a cipher, perhaps a one-time pad, a transposition cipher, or something based on the poem itself. Its very existence screams secret communication. Then there's the level of professionalism. The removal of all identifying labels, the meticulous tailoring of clothes to fit only him, suggesting they weren't off the rack, perhaps issued, the fact he had no wallet, cash, or typical personal effects on him when found. This suggests someone prepared to be unidentifiable. For what purpose? To disappear, or to be untraceable if compromised. Think about the timing. This is 1948, the dawn of the Cold War. Australia, with its strategic location and links to British and American intelligence, was a hotbed of espionage activity. A mysterious, unidentifiable man found dead with a secret code. It fits the geopolitical context. And what about Justin? The woman who owned the unique copy of the rubaiyat. She initially denied knowing the man, but later there were suggestions she might have. Was she a handler? A contact? The fact that her name was essentially provided by the book found near the body only deepens the suspicion that this entire scenario was linked to something far more complex than a simple crime or accident. So, the espionage theory takes the code, the book, the mysterious circumstances, the removal of identity, the post-war timing, and potential connections like Justin, and weaves them into a narrative of a secret agent whose mission, for whatever reason, ended fatally on Somerton Beach. It explains many of the baffling details that other theories struggle with. But it still leaves us with unanswered questions. Who was he? What was the code saying? How exactly did he die? Right now, the Tamam Shud case, after all these decades, still sits in this strange state of limbo. It remains officially unsolved. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why is this enduring mystery still a question mark on the historical timeline? There are several layers to it. Primarily, the absolute lack of identity for the man himself. Without knowing who he was, you lose the most crucial thread in the investigation. Was he a spy? A jilted lover? Someone with a secret life? His identity held the key, and it remains locked away. Then there's the ambiguous cause of death. The initial autopsy couldn't pinpoint a definitive reason. While poisoning was suspected, the lack of traces meant they couldn't confirm it. Was it a rare, untraceable poison? A natural event triggered by something unknown? The ambiguity prevents a clear path forward. Add to this the potential contamination or loss of evidence. In 1948, forensic science wasn't what it is today. The body was embalmed early on, likely destroying potential toxicological evidence. Crucial items, like the suitcase contents, weren't immediately connected or perhaps fully appreciated for their significance. The physical limitations of investigators back then, compared to modern techniques, also played a part. They didn't have advanced DNA analysis, digital forensics, or global databases to cross-reference identities. And finally, you have the sheer, inherent complexity of the clues. The Tamam Shud slip itself, torn from a rare book. The code found in the book, which has baffled cryptologists for generations. The cryptic items in the suitcase. The strange encounters and potential connections that led nowhere. These weren't straightforward breadcrumbs, they were fragments of a puzzle from a world we don't entirely understand, perhaps linked to espionage or something equally clandestine. Yet, the mystery hasn't been abandoned. In recent years, there's been a significant push to finally find answers using modern technology. The biggest development was in 2022, when authorities in South Australia granted permission for the man's body to be exhumed. This was a monumental step, undertaken specifically for DNA analysis initiatives. The hope is that advanced genealogical techniques, similar to those used to solve cold cases like the Golden State Killer, could potentially identify the man or at least provide clues about his ancestry and possible origins. While the process is complex and results aren't instantaneous, this represents the most promising avenue for resolution in over 70 years. The possibility of future resolution now rests largely on what secrets his DNA might hold, connecting him to living relatives or historical databases. It's a race against time and the limitations of the surviving biological material, but the hope is undeniably real. The long-term consequences and impact of the Taman Shud case are far-reaching. On individuals, it brought immense scrutiny and pain to people like Justin and her family. She was forever linked to this dark enigma, hounded by speculation and suspicion, even after her death. The case cast a shadow over their lives, a stark reminder of how a single unsolved mystery can ripple through generations. On investigative procedures, it highlighted the importance of meticulous evidence preservation, especially in unusual deaths, and the potential value of seemingly insignificant clues. It also underscored the challenges of international cooperation and identifying unknown persons in an era before widespread biometric databases. Its most enduring impact, though, is its status in popular culture and mystery circles globally. It remains one of the most compelling, baffling, and discussed cold cases in history. Websites, forums, podcasts, and books are dedicated to dissecting every detail, offering theories, and attempting to crack the code. It has captured the collective imagination precisely because it defies easy explanation, blending elements of espionage, forbidden love, a cryptic code, and an unknown man who seemingly vanished from existence only to reappear dead on a beach. The case's unique appeal lies in its perfect storm of unanswered questions and bizarre details. It's a puzzle box waiting to be opened, a cipher waiting to be cracked, and the identity of the Somerton Man remains the ultimate prize. This case, perhaps more than any other, reminds you just how enduring a mystery can be. We've walked through the initial discovery, the strange clues that emerged, the baffling code, and the decades of failed attempts to unravel it. It started with a body on a beach and spiraled into a labyrinth of secret messages, hidden identities, and unanswered questions that echo across time. The consequences ripple outwards. Think of Justin and her family, forever marked by their tangential connection to this puzzle. A simple phone number in a book, a potential meeting, and their lives were irrevocably tangled in something they likely never fully understood. It's a poignant reminder of the human cost behind these grand mysteries. Beyond the personal, the case subtly influenced investigative thinking, pushing for better handling of evidence, recognizing the potential significance of even the smallest item. But perhaps its biggest impact is on us, the public. The Tamam Shud case has become a modern myth, a benchmark for the truly inexplicable cold case. It fuels our fascination with secrets, codes, and the possibility that history holds puzzles still waiting for a solution. The lessons? Maybe it's that some mysteries are designed to remain just that, mysteries. Or perhaps it's a call to never stop looking, to keep refining our tools, like DNA analysis, in the hope that future technology can unlock the secrets the past holds tight. It highlights the limitations of human knowledge, the gaps in our records, and the sheer chance that can obscure the truth. Ultimately, the Somerton Man and his cipher stand as a testament to the enduring power of the unknown. They invite us to theorize, to investigate from afar, and to contemplate the lives and secrets buried beneath the surface of history.